Fire away. How we doing? Everyone's good? Game week. Finally. No mics? All right. Good. I am, well, heck, last time I was here was after the first or second day of practice, right? We have improved significantly since then. And I'm real happy. We go into fall camp with objectives and going into, a couple days left of practice and preparation before we play our first game. I feel, we've accomplished those things. And there's synergy, you know what I mean? There's cohesiveness that's occurring. You can see the guys are playing together. They're getting comfortable. Guys are, really comfortable communicating with one another in all positions. It's not exclusive to one or the other. And then that's exciting, I guess, as an offensive coordinator, when you get to the point where you have other guys communicating, talking about the game plan and plays and strategies and techniques, that you're trending in the right direction. So I'm happy, I'm pleased. Comfortable? I don't know if I'll ever say yes, I'm comfortable, but I'm pleased. Athletic guy, strong, has some natural blocking ability, however you want to define that, but that, it's just a very natural blocking ability. Excited about his progress, as we go, obviously that's a position that we're always looking to generate depth and want depth. For us to be able to acquire him at this point is awesome. It's going to help us, and we want competition in every room. And you've heard me say before, programs go as their lines go, right? Teams that have great offensive lines and defensive lines are usually great teams. So, and that's what we're striving to be.
Is there any way he can learn the playbook in the time we get in?
Well, it's a challenge, right? You know what I mean? But realistically, it's tough, right? How much he could or would play, But like we said 7 days ago, that's a pretty quick turnaround, right? Whatever we're in.
You talked about knowing some of the outside zones coming from side fields offense.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know much about it? Like, how much of a similarity is there between the two offenses? And for someone like that, like, how much of an adaptation process is there?
Well, I guess I've seen it before. You know what I mean? Like all coaches I'm a film junkie, and we watch, the people that are successful and have, do good things, and there are similarities to that, of course. With terminology and stuff like that, we've never shared that. And I know Coach Fuchs, and to the credit to all the other offensive linemen, Mike Nowitzki, specifically grabbing him and kind of talking about terms and what we call these combos and what's this play called versus that play. And, in his mind, he's, disassociating with whatever it was before to what it's now. So there's always, to your point, how long does it take to get ready? Well, when you have to unlearn something that you've been taught and kind of, it's like learning a new language. And it takes a little time. So once he gets that figured out, he'll be humming.
In terms of the offensive depth, I think Armage and Dominic Boone and his scores on the depth chart,
Mm-hmm.
just in that spot, like, what's that competition look like to you, and what are you guys kind of looking for who's going to start?
Well, we're looking for the things that you would want, probably the characteristics of any offensive line, right? Know what they're doing. Physical, nasty, right? And athletic. And I think if you asked any program across the country, those are the words that you would hear about when we talk about offensive line play. But as we have grown in that position, we've created competition. You have to get that group to play together as a unit, right? Okay? It's the most important position group in football. The most important position is the quarterback, as we all know, right? And that's, they make the big bucks. But the most important group is that offensive line. And so as we go and you start cross-training people to allow us to have the depth that we need at that position, right? Because you don't want to just say, well, hey, we'll put in this player just because he's a left tackle. No, we want to make sure that we have our best 5 offensive linemen on the field at any given moment. For those guys to learn to work together and have that competition and cross-train guys and now start to settle in on what that would look like, what those patterns look like. You can see that. That's part of why I'm pleased as the offense has evolved through fall camp. I'm very pleased with where they're going. Well, I know Lance talked about that and commented on where that is, but, we're always prepared to have somebody unavailable, I guess, right? And that goes to the credit of, the parity that we have in a lot of rooms, not just that room, and I've talked about that before and hear about how, we have some depth at a lot of positions which allow us to be multiple. So, those kind of things grow and expand.
How does other guys respond to having Trevor not be there and even Tanaka not being able for this week?
Well, they're really excited to play. and a couple guys, and in particular that have really, they've had good camps, and we've talked about them here before, but like Kevin Terry and Quentin Skinner, okay, Doug, we've talked about Doug, being a new transfer, has been in here before, and it just meant that they got more reps, and then they've handled it well, and they're all very excited, and I feel confident in their ability to perform.
We talked to Lance about Quentin a couple of times, but from your perspective, I guess, what has he brought to the offense during camp?
Well, he brings a linear vertical threat. He's a long, big body, right? And I call him a grass chewer because when he takes steps now, it's like a damn giraffe, running, and he just takes 2 steps and it's like 6 yards, and so he can go and he'll be able to take a top off. And he's done a really good job through fall camp of making some contested catches, and he's had a really good camp. He has, and he's smart, so we're cross trained to play a lot of different positions, and we feel comfortable we could slide him into any of the receiver spots and he would know what to do.
Andy, you guys have talked a lot about Bean in his camp and how well he's performed, and yet yesterday Lance said Jaylen started. I wonder, does the fact that Bean had such a good camp and Jaylen held him off, does that make you feel any different kind of way about Jaylen and his progression?
Well, I don't know if it makes me feel different, but it gives me confidence, right? That you have, like I've said before, you have 2 guys that have played college football, right? And that's rare, nowadays. And I say that, but it's true. 2 guys who started games. And so you're comfortable with the things that we're doing, that there's depth there, there's reps there, and it's not just, hey, how's this guy going to respond when he gets into a game under the lights? Well, they've done it. They've both done it, so we know the answer to that question. And I'm crazy not to reiterate this, but we talk about competition in this program. And when you have competition in that room, it permeates to all spots in all 3 phases of the game, and it's very evident. And so, to Jason's credit, he has had an unbelievable camp. He's had a great camp. He's playing the best football I've seen him play. I've only known him for like 14 months, but he's playing the best football he has. Coach Z in that quarterback room has done a great job with those guys, and I think because sometimes competition can create strife, right, and be unhealthy for a program. And in that room in particular, I think they're happy for the other guy's success. The first time that you see a guy make a heck of a throw, it means usually the other one who goes up to high five him and congratulate him and say, hey, heck of a throw. So I'm very happy with those guys and how they developed.
I also wanted to ask you, I know you're not going to tell us, but your first play for Friday night. Is that something?
I don't know yet. I got to kind of whittle down to a few. Yep, I do, but we'll see.
Do you think about that throughout an off season?
Yeah, I could have told you on June 1st last year what our first play was going to be last year, because I knew that's where we were going to run. I could have told you that. Actually, I said that, I think, on one of our first offensive meetings. This was going to be the first play we run of the year, just because of where we were. I don't know yet right now, though.
What was it?
It's just an outside zone play, I think, to the left or the right. Pretty sure. Someone have to check that. Well, I think his decision-making, his understanding what we're doing offensively, and of course when I say these things, I'm talking about to all of our kids, because a year ago we still had only been 20 practices, right, to play a game. But it goes to the question up here a little bit about, okay, well, if he's playing that good and Jalen's still the starter, you must be really pleased, and we are about where they've elevated their game to in their development. But with Jaylen specifically, his understanding what we're doing offensively, his ability to anticipate throws and get off of progressions really quick is it's at a high level right now, And of course, both those guys can make plays and keep plays alive with their feet, and that's important, for us here at Kansas, and we need to make sure the guys can. It's true of any football at any level, really, when you have quarterbacks who can keep plays alive and extend plays and scramble around or take off running when there's, a giant hole in the A gap on a 3rd and 10 to pick up first downs. Those unanticipated yards, as we would call them, junk yards, as defensive coaches would call them, they're critical for offenses that are playing good. Well, you'll have to stay tuned for that to get that number specifically. But I've said all along, I'm telling you, if we have 11 really good offensive linemen, I would find a way to put them all on the field at the same time. And I mean that. That's one of the strengths that we have, is that there's parity, At a lot of our skill positions, there's competition at a lot of those skill positions. Our stress can be using those personnel groupings and packages, making sure they're developed enough and that they're holistic enough that defenses have to defend everything. But I'm excited about that group, that room. They have continued to develop throughout fall camp as well. Absolutely. It is. It is. Because I think those guys see that there's, and I express to everyone on offense, especially skill players nowadays, because everyone, I'll share some information with you. I show all the offensive skill players a graph, a chart every year to start camp. And it's the highest paid players in the NFL. So people like Travis Kelce and whoever else, right? Okay, but so all these people who are marquee, multi-million-dollar NFL players a year, and how many times that they take offensive snaps and how many times they're actually targeted or they've touched the football. And that number hovers between 85 to 90% of the time. Those players aren't, usually between 80 to 90%, that those guys aren't getting targeted or touching. So I explain to them, I says, there's some individuals that are making $30-some million a year to play this game, and they're only getting the ball 10 to 15% of the time, right? Okay, so that's the reality. And so everyone has to learn how to play football when they don't have the ball, right? And I think that's what's making a lot of our skill players a special group, is because I think we have a lot of unselfish guys. You'll see downfield blocking from the receivers. You'll see the running backs block when we're pass protecting. Okay, you'll see them block for each other. You see the tight ends doing both. So for them to understand that that football is as much about what happens when you don't have the ball is a big deal.
How much of your approach to the running game and craft and scheme of that, how much has that changed from Patterson days, from the Warriors going back 10, 15 years ago? How much have you noticed in evolution?
Well, I think your personnel will always, as I've said before, dictate to what you can and can't do it to some degree, right? You can say that you want to be these things and you can train within reason of what those things are. But if you can be better doing something else, then do something else, right? So I think evolving is a key word there that you said. I think you evolve within a year. I mean, you evolve as an offense week to week, let alone we're talking almost a decade ago now. You know what I mean? Then some of the names you dropped, which is impressive, by the way, to bring back those guys. Would get a kick out of that you brought their names up. But, who you are, I think is one of the hardest things in coaching to do, is to really predict what you're going to look like week 1 to week 5 to week 12, right? And when you brought up names way back in 2013, 15 games, right? What does the 15th game look like? So you have to be multiple enough, you have to be dynamic enough, and your kids have to have a baseline of training and understanding well enough that you can kind of stack the Lego pieces together, if you will.
When you have guys who are competing for spots, like you were running backs decisions,
Mhm.
how much do you then learn from those experiences and how you were able to share the ball with those guys and their talents, and how that can be predicted maybe going forward with future experiences that you might have now?
Well, I think, okay, so, I guess my growth professionally as a coach would be, let's say 16 years ago when I was first coordinating, you wouldn't think ahead long enough to say, you know what, there's a lot of depth in this room. What are the packages and the plays that we could do that would put several of these guys in the field at the same time? Okay, right? And that would be of any skill player, right? Oh, man, hey, we got 8 really good offensive linemen. What creative things can we do to utilize them instead of maybe just having guys on a rotation, right? Kind of, like running back, well, it's your turn to go in, just rotate in. We need to be creative as an offense coach, I think, to get the guys in the field and make sure that they're being utilized and getting reps. Because at some point what happens, and of course as you evolve over the course of a season over time, you might say, hey, you're really good at all these and you have all these guys, but then injuries occur. All of a sudden you have one. Is he developed well enough to be just the guy at that spot, right? And so those are, it's maybe some foresight that I've learned probably through my career to go, okay, we got to start training these things in the spring and fall camp and give a little dose of this because that package could grow.
It's not your job to sell tickets, but Kai is the #2 leading rusher in Kansas history. High school. You got Devin Neal from Lawrence, kid from Topeka. How excited should the potential fans that come to the game be for these two?
Well, I think they should be really excited. I know Lance had probably, talked about it when Kai came here about, having those 2 individuals from the state and having recognizable names in the backfield. I think it's a big deal. I think it's the kind of thing that the population of Kansas can rally behind, and get excited. because that's where we're trying to go as a program, to be that institution. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.